spans over their heads was the likeness of a throne, in appearance like a sapphire stone. And on the likeness of the throne was like a likeness as the appearance of a man high above it. And from the appearance of his waist and upward, I saw what looked like a glowing metal with the appearance of fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his waist and downward, I saw what looked like fire and brightness all around, and the appearance of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. So was the appearance of the brightness all around it. This was the appearance of the likeness of the esteem of Yah. And when I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard a voice of one speaking. Ezekiel chapter 2. And he said to me, Son of man, stand on your feet, so that I speak to you. And the Spirit entered into me, and when he spoke to me and set me on my feet, and I heard him who was speaking to me, and he said to me, Son of man, I am sending you to the children of Israel, to a nation of rebels who have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me unto this day. And the children are stiff of face and hard of heart, to whom I am sending you. And you shall say to them, Thus said the Master Yah, and they, whether they hear or whether they refuse, for they are a rebellious house, shall know that a prophet has been in their midst. And you, son of man, do not be afraid of them, nor be afraid of their words. Though thistles and thorns are with you, and you dwell among scorpions, do not be afraid of their words, or discouraged by their looks, for they are a rebellious house. And you shall speak my words to them, whether they hear or whether they refuse, for they are rebellious. And you, son of man, hear what I am speaking to you. Do not be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I am giving you. And I looked and saw a hand stretched out to me, and see a scroll of a book was in it. And he spread it before me, and it was written on the inside and on the outside. And written on it were lamentations and mourning and woe. Ezekiel chapter 3. And he said to me, Son of man, eat what you find, eat this scroll, and go speak to the house of Israel. And I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. And he said to me, Son of man, feed your stomach, and fill your stomach with this scroll that I am giving you. And I ate it, and it was as sweet as honey in my mouth. And he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel, and you shall speak to them with my words. For you are not sent to a people of foreign speech and of difficult language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of foreign speech and of difficult language, whose words you do not understand. If I had rather sent you to them, they would have listened to you. But the house of Israel is going to refuse to listen to you, for they refuse to listen to me. For all the house of Israel are hard of head and hard of heart. See, I shall face as hard as their faces, and your forehead as hard as their foreheads. Like adamant stone, harder than flint, I shall make your forehead. Do not be afraid of them, nor be discouraged at their looks, for they are a rebellious house. And he said to me, Son of man, receive in your heart all my words that I speak to you, and hear with your ears. And go, come to the exiles, to the children of your people, and speak to them, and say to them, Thus said the Master Yah, whether they hear or whether they refuse. And the Spirit lifted me up, and behind me I heard a sound of a great rumbling voice. Blessed be the esteem of Yah from his place. And the sound of the wings of the living creatures touching one another, and the sound of the wheels beside them, and the sound of a great rushing. And the Spirit lifted me and took me away, and I went in bitterness, in the heat of my spirit, while the hand of Yah was strong upon me. And I came to the exiles at Tel Abib, who were dwelling by the river Kabar. And I sat where they were sitting, and sat there, stunned among them 7 days. And it came to be at the end of 7 days that the word of Yah came to me, saying, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and shall warn them from me. When I say to the wrong, you shall certainly die, and you have not warned them, nor spoken to warn the wrong from his wrong way, to save his life, that same wrong man shall die in his crookedness, and his blood I require at your hand. But if you have warned the wrong, and he does not turn from his wrong, nor from his wrong way, he shall die in his crookedness, and you have delivered your being. And when a righteous one turns from his righteousness, it shall do unrighteousness. When
Shabbat shalom.
Ezekiel chapter 3. And he said to me, Son of man, eat what you find, eat this scroll, and go speak to the house of Israel. And I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. And he said to me, Son of man, feed your stomach, and fill your stomach with this scroll that I am giving you. And I ate it, and it was as sweet as honey in my mouth. And he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel, and you shall speak to them with my words. For you are not sent to a people of foreign speech and of difficult language, but to the house of Israel. Not too many people of foreign speech and of difficult language, whose words you do not understand. If I had rather sent you to them, they would have listened to you. But the house of Israel is going to refuse to listen to you, for they refuse to listen to me. For all the house of Israel are hard of head and hard of heart. See, I shall make your face as hard as their faces, and your forehead as hard as their foreheads. Like adamant stone, harder than flint, I shall make your forehead. Do not be afraid of them, nor be discouraged at their looks, for they are a rebellious house. And he said to me, Son of man, receive in your heart all my words that I speak to you, and hear with your ears. And go, come to the exiles, to the children of your people, and speak to them, and say to them, Thus said the Master Yah, whether they hear or whether they refuse. And the Spirit lifted me up, and behind me I heard a sound of a great rumbling voice. Blessed be the esteem of Yah from his place. And the sound of the wings of the living creatures touching one another, and the sound of the wheels beside them, and the sound of a great rushing. And the Spirit lifted me and took me away, and I went in bitterness, in the heat of my spirit, while the hand of Yah was strong upon me. And I came to the exiles at Tel Abib, who were dwelling by the river Kabar. And I sat where they were sitting, and sat there, stunned among them 7 days. And it came to be at the end of 7 days that the word of Yah came to me, saying, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and shall warn them from me. When I say to the wrong, you shall certainly die, and you have not warned them, nor spoken to warn the wrong from his wrong way, to save his life, that same wrong man shall die in his crookedness, and his blood I require at your hand. But if you have warned the wrong, and he does not turn from his wrong, nor from his wrong way, he shall die in his crookedness, and you have delivered your being. And when a righteous one turns from his righteousness, it shall do unrighteousness. When I have put a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because you did not warn him. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he has done is not remembered, and his blood I require at your hand. But if you have warned the righteous one, that the righteous should not sin, and he did not sin, he shall certainly live, because he have been warned, and you have delivered your being. And the hand of Yah came upon me there, and he said to me, Arise, go out into the plain, so that I might speak to you there. So I got up and went into the plain, and see, the esteem of Yah stood there, like the esteem which I saw by the river Kabar, and I fell on my face. And the Spirit entered me, and set me on my feet, and spoke with me, and said to me, Go shut yourself inside your house. And you, O son of man, see, they shall put cords on you, and bind you with them, so that you do not go out in their midst. And I make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth, so that you shall be dumb, and not be a reprover to them, for they are a rebellious house. But when I speak with you, I'll open your mouth, and you shall say to them, Thus said the Master Yah, He who hears, let him hear, and he who refuses, let him refuse, for they are a rebellious house. Ezekiel chapter 4. And you, son of man, take a clay tablet, and you shall lay it before you, and shall inscribe on it a city, Jerusalem, and shall lay siege against it, and build a siege wall against it, and heap up a mound against it, and set camps against it, and place battering rams against it, all around. And take an iron plate, and set it as an iron wall between you and the city, and you shall set your face against it, and it shall be besieged. You shall lay siege against it. It is a sign to the house of Israel. And lie on your left side, and you shall put the crookedness of the house of Israel on it. As many days as you lie on it, you shall bear their crookedness. For I myself have laid on you the years of their crookedness, according to the number of the days, 390 days, and you shall bear the crookedness of the house of Israel. And when you have completed them, you shall lie again on your right side, and bear the crookedness of the house of Yehuda 40 days, a day for a year. I have laid on you a day for a year. And you shall set your face toward the siege of Jerusalem with your arm bared, and you shall prophesy against it. And see, I put cords on you, so that you do not turn from one side to another until you have completed the days of your siege. And take wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and spelt, and you shall put them into one vessel and make bread of them, and you shall eat it as many days as you lie on your side, 390 days. And your food which you eat is by weight, 20 shekels a day, to be eaten from time to time, and drink water by measure, 1/6 of a hin, to be drunk from time to time, and eat it as a barley cake, and bake it before their eyes on human dung. And Yah said, Even so the children of Israel shall eat their defiled bread among the nations, to whom I've driven them. Then I said, Master Yah, see, I have never defiled myself from my mouth to now. I have never eaten what dried of itself, or was torn by beasts, nor has unclean meat ever came into my mouth. And he said to me, See, I am giving you dung of the cattle instead of human dung, and you shall prepare your bread over it. And he said to me, Son of man, see, I am going to cut off the supply of bread in Yerushalayim, and they shall eat bread by weight and with fear, and drink water by measure with dread, so that they lack bread and water, and shall be appalled with one another, and be consumed in their crookedness. Ezekiel chapter 5. And you, son of man, take a sharp sword, take it as a barber's razor, and you shall pass it over your head and your beard, and you shall take scales to weigh and divide the hair. Burn with fire 1/3 in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are completed. And you shall take 1/3 and strike it around with the sword, and scatter 1/3 in the wind, and I shall draw out a sword after them. And you shall take a few hairs from there and bind them in the edge of your garment, and take again some of them, and throw them into the midst of the fire, and burn them in the fire. From it a fire shall spread unto all the house of Israel. Thus said Master Yah, this Yerushalayim which I have set in the midst of the nations, with the other lands all around her, but she rebelled against my right rulings, doing wrong more than the nations, and my laws more than the lands all around her. For they have rejected my right rulings, and they have not walked in my laws. Therefore said the Master Yah, because you have rebelled more than the nations all around you, and have not walked in my laws, nor done my right rulings, nor done according to the right rulings of the nations all around you. Thus said the Master Yah, Look, I myself am against you, and shall execute judgments in your midst before the eyes of the nations, and I shall do among you what I have never done, and the like of which I never do again, because of all your abominations. Therefore fathers are going to eat their sons in their midst, and sons eat their fathers, and I shall execute judgments among you, and scatter all your remnant to all the winds. Therefore, as I live, declares the Master Yah, because you have defiled my set-apart place with all your disgusting matters, with all your abominations, therefore I also withdraw, and my eyes shall not pardon, nor shall I spare. 1/3 of you shall die of pestilence, and be consumed with the scarcity of food in your midst, and 1/3 shall fall by the sword all around you. And I shall scatter 1/3 to all the winds, and draw out a sword after them. And my displeasure shall be completed, and I shall bring my wrath to rest upon them, and I shall be eased. And they shall know that I, Yah, have spoken it in my ardor, when I have completed my wrath upon them. And I shall make you a waste and a reproach among the nations that are all around you, before the eyes of all who pass by. And it shall be a reproach, an object of scorn, a warning, and an astonishment to the nations that are all around you, when I execute judgments among you in displeasure and in wrath, and in heated chastisement. I, Yah, have spoken. When I sent against them the evil arrows of scarcity of food, which shall be for their destruction, which I sent to destroy you, I shall increase the scarcity of food upon you, and cut off your supply of bread. And I shall send against you scarcity of food and evil beasts, and they shall bereave you, and pestilence and blood shall pass through you, while I bring the sword against you. I, Yah,